Hey guys, Red the Nerd here, and I just saw the FNAF movie last night, and wow. Waiting 9 years for this movie it, and being able to watch it in theaters in 2023 was an absolute joy, an absolute blast. Not just for the fact that we actually got to get this movie in reality, but also being able to, sit around in a big, dark theater with a huge ass screen with other FNAF fans around you who are eager and excited as much as you are to experience this movie that we have all been waiting for 9 years. It honestly felt like a fever dream. It honestly felt a dream come true, honestly. But you guys are not here to you're not here for me to ramble about, the overall experience of being in a theater with other FNAF fans. You're here to see what I think of the movie. And I just want to get this out of the way real quick. I don't think that the movie is perfect by any means, and it's not what I would have wanted out of the FNAF movie. I would have taken it, if I directed this movie, I would have taken it in a different direction. But the fact that we even have this movie in the first place, I gotta give Scott Cawthon, Blumhouse, just utmost respect for even getting this movie made for just the fans in general, so I can really appreciate that. But like I said before, it's not a perfect movie, but what we got in the end was really, really well done, in my opinion. I honestly really enjoyed the movie. Obviously, there could be some, twinks made to it. But other than that, what we got in the end was an enjoyable experience, personally for me. And also, just want to give this a heads up. I don't think that this movie deserves all the hate that the critics are getting it. And to be fair, I'm done taking Rotten Tomato reviews seriously at this point, because they give this movie a 26%, and yet they give Cuties, which is an abomination of a film by itself, for multiple obvious reasons, a 86%. So I'm done taking Rotten Tomato reviews seriously, and you should too, because we should not decide what grown adult men like and dislike, and we need actual criticisms, and just stop saying that this sucks or this is good. We need actual valid criticism so that we can give future filmmakers the chance to actually make good films and take, suggestions and criticisms lightly. Not lightly, but just take them into consideration. But anyway, enough talking about and rambling about reviews and all that. We need to get into the actual review, so let's get in right to the pros. Oh, before we get into the pros, just want to mention there will be absolutely no spoilers, because I want everybody to experience this film for themselves. So there will be no spoilers in this review, so you can continue at your own pace. So let's get in right to the pros. So, what did I think the movie did right? Well, I think the movie did really well with the references of the fan base. I think that the references that they added into this movie was really well done and very respectful to, Scott Cawthon and even some of the fans, references as well. I think that this movie is going to be studied for years at this point, deciphering every single reference in this movie, and I think it's going to be really fun, because even though that sometimes it can be a little bit annoying when a movie is just about references to certain things that only the fans will get, and everybody in the theater point to be like, oh my god, it's that thing. It can be a little bit annoying when it's done right, and I think the movie did the references really well, because it's not in your face. It's mostly in the backgrounds, and it's not completely obvious. And most people in the theater that I went to were not pointing at the screens being like, oh my god, it's this thing from this obscure fan game that has basically nobody's ever played before. So I got to give the movie some credit with the references. With the references that they did add, was really handpicked for a specific reason to the actual environment, which I really do like. So got to give that respect. Also the cameos. I think that the cameos were also really well done. You got Matt Pat in it and Corey X Kenshin. Don't worry, this is not spoilers. Everybody knows that they're in the movie, so don't worry about that. Seeing them on screen was really well done. It's not like some of the lines that they had, especially MatPat when he said it's just a theory. He does say that in the movie, by the way, so just be prepared for that. It can be a little bit, a little bit campy, and also it's kind of like in your face. But I don't think it's in your face too much that you can't be like disgusted at that. You can be like, you can laugh at it in like a joking manner, or you can be like, huh, that's really actually funny. So, gotta give the cameo some credit. Also, the use of practical effects. Jim Henson, the Jim Henson Company, I've praised them multiple times. I love their work, especially with puppets, with like the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. I've talked about that a couple of times in many reviews as well. So the practical effects in this movie are really well done, especially the animatronics. The animatronics look absolutely amazing in live action. I'm glad that they actually used practical effects instead of CGI, because it wouldn't give much weight to it if it was just CGI. It would have just looked like the characters were running away from basically air at this point. But having the animatronics be in physical form just makes the movie that more immersive, in my opinion, because you can see the animatronics and be like, that thing is real. Somebody made that, put their blood, sweat, and tears into that thing, and I could possibly see it one day. Just makes the overall practical effects that more impactful. But there's one thing that I want to mention right now. All the animatronics look fantastic, except for Bonnie. Bonnie, it's just the color. I don't like the color that they use for Bonnie. But that's just a minor nitpick. Other than that, every single animatronic is amazing. The use of practical effects was really well done as well. Very well done. Very well done. And also, surprisingly, there's some gore in this movie. Not heavily gore, mind you. There is one scene in it that I can't get over how well it was done. And I don't want to spoil it. And it's probably one of the goriest scenes in the movie. And since I was going to this movie expecting not a lot of gore, maybe some off-screen kills, but the fact that there's one scene in it where you actually get to see somebody actually get murdered on screen was extremely surprising. Everybody in the theater was gasping. All my friends were like, oh my god, that actually happened. And it just made, like, there were some serious stakes going on. Like, these animatronics can legit kill people, and you get to see it. I mean, you only get to see it one time. But other than that, the amount of gore and horror was really well done. There are some really intense scenes, especially with Foxy. He's mostly, like, the more horror animatronic focused character in this movie than the others, which I can't see a little bit disappointing. But the fact that they use Foxy, because he's like in the actual game, he has more of a threat to you, because you actually get to see him run down the hallway and you have to act really quickly, and he's really fast and everything. So having that in live action and being an actual threat, you're like, oh, Foxy's gonna run at you and stuff like that. I really like that. Also, Mike's character. I was expecting this movie not to have a lot of character to the characters. I know. It's especially with movies like this, I have to be like, there's not going to be a lot of character moments or like development in this movie. But I was really surprised by Mike's character. He's honestly my favorite character in the movie. The amount of like character to him was really well done as well. Even when I was like, okay, they're more than they needed, honestly, but in a very good way. They kept on adding interesting things to his character that I thought were like really like kind of impactful and kind of like heart, like had a lot of heart to it. And I was very surprised by that. So he's one of my favorite characters. Also, there is a twist. I don't usually like to praise plot twists because I think that they're kind of like overrated in my opinion. But there's a twist in this movie. Yet again, I'm not going to spoil anything. There's a twist in this movie that was actually like surprising, and it honestly made me go like, wait, what? Actually, like out loud in the theater. Like that's how well the twist was executed, in my opinion. So watch out for the twist as well. I think many people are going to be really surprised by the twist, and the fact that they kept it hitting, but also kept adding, like kind of like foreshadowing to it as well and hints to it. Even when I didn't see it, usually I could pick up on hints not hits, I'm not hitting people, hints to, plot twists or something like that, or to a character. I can usually pick up on it really well, but in this movie, I didn't pick up on it that well, and I think that was the reason, because the writing's not perfect by any means, but the writing when it comes to like foreshadowing was really well done in my opinion. Really got to give them props for having a twist that actually works. Got to give them props. Also, the acting was great. I was really surprised by the acting. Abby was a little bit annoying at the beginning, but later on, her acting got a little bit better, and her character was a little bit interesting. But like I said before, I think Mike's character was a lot more interesting, and Josh Hutcherson did a fantastic job playing that character. Soundtrack was pretty good. There's a lot of drone musics in there, but we didn't hear the classic, the dun 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 dun. Yeah, that was in the trailer, but it's not in the movie, sadly. And there is a Living Tombstone song. I'm not gonna say which one, and I'm not gonna say where, because I want you to find out for yourself. And it honestly made everybody clap at the end of the movie, because wow, that it was unexpected. So, soundtrack was pretty good. One last pro that I have: the passion for the fans. Even if you don't like this movie, you can admit that they had fans in mind. Especially with video game adaptations. Video game adaptations are very hit or miss, especially for the fans. Usually it's for making money, and they sometimes add references that don't really land, and you can't really find them that easily, and there's not a lot of passion for the source material that they're basing the movie on. But the fact that they got Scott Cawthon and working on this movie for 9 years, and changing up the script that some people wanted the movie to be, and he was like, no, not doing the spring traps, plush traps in Manhattan script. So I'm glad that he took time to actually make a script that the fans could enjoy, and also putting the fans first and money last, in my opinion. So I got to give them big props for that. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, Blumhouse, for putting all your heart and soul into this movie and putting the fans first and thinking of the fans when making this movie. MatPat did a video discussing about the not the producers, but the actual kind of movie makers. I forgot what they're called because I'm brain farting right now. But everybody who's on the set and working on this movie, we're asking MatPat to be like, is this what the fans would want? Is this good? What's your opinion on this? They were very we need to get this right for the fans, even if some fans don't like it, which there definitely are fans that are not a fan of this movie. And fans who are really excited about the movie and everything like that, you got to admit that they had fans in mind for the movie, and I got to give them a big round of applause for that. But with when it comes to pros, there's also going to be cons. So let's get to the part where everybody kind of skips over because everybody just wants to focus on the pros. So let's get to the cons, shall we? So the cons. As always, during my reviews, there's not a lot of cons that I can pick out of, but here we are. So, the cons. Like I mentioned before, the writing isn't perfect, and the movie in general isn't that perfect, so those are two cons. But other than that, let's get to the actual cons that you haven't heard me say before in the beginning of the video. So, Vanessa's character wasn't well executed, in my opinion. Not saying that she's a bad character by any means. She's a really interesting character, especially with her past. I really want to learn more about her. Very interesting and everything like that. But present day Vanessa with the movie and everything, I just wanted more from her. I don't know why I feel this way, but I just want more. The actress who played her did a fantastic job of actually playing the character. And, her past is very mysterious, and I just want to learn more. But I just want a tad bit more from her. That's all I want. And another character con that I have is William Afton. Not saying he's a bad character either. Hell no, he's not a bad character. He's a fantastic villain, and he's also one of my favorite characters in the movie, next to Mike. but not saying he's a bad character. It's just the fact that he doesn't have enough screen time in the movie. The main antagonist of the franchise should have a lot of screen time, and technically you can actually look at this both ways. You can either say that this is a con because he doesn't get enough screen time because he is the big bad and everybody wants to see him, but it can be a pro because when he's not on screen that often, he's got like 2 minutes of screen time, very, very small amount. But when he does actually make an appearance at like the very end, it makes the climax that more like dramatic and impactful. And the ending to it as well also just makes the movie that much better ending wise, in my opinion, because he's such a good character, and he has a lot of, really like mysterious elements to him as well that I also really want to know about. Movie Afton, not game Afton. I pretty much know everything there is about Afton. So, but just get movie Afton. I just want to learn more about him and stuff like that. So yeah, you can either look at it both ways, him not getting enough screen time, but also it makes it that more impactful when he does show up, so you can look at it both ways. And technically, these two cons can be seen as nitpicks, but I'm just going to mention them just in case people feel the same way as I do. The last con that I have is there is some goofiness in it. There is some goofiness in it. And which also can be seen as a pro and a con. I do like some goofiness in some movies, but sometimes especially when it's FNAF, I just want a little bit more horror. The horror that they did have in the movie, like I mentioned before, was really well done, and I really did like it, but I just wanted a little bit more of it. But we also got some goofiness, which could have been dialed down just a tad bit, but I also do like the goofiness of it. I'm not going to just want to mention this real quick, but I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to just say this. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen this already, but if you haven't, just skip to the end pretty much. There is a fort building scene with the animatronics that can be seen as a little bit goofy. I thought it was goofy at first, and then I realized that the reason why they're building the fort is because, and being all kiddish and stuff like that, is because they're literally possessed by children. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense why they're being all like 5 and everything like that, because they're building forts. It also gave me some, the fort building scene from Where the Wild Things Are. It just gave me some vibes of that. And also there is some goofy moments with the cupcake and everything like that actually made me laugh too much. So yeah. But I really like the balance between having horror, could have used a little bit more, and also, having too much goofiness that could have been dialed down a little bit more. So these cons can be seen as nitpicks or pros and cons. So that's what I think. But overall, what did I think of the actual movie? Was it worth 9 years of waiting? Hell yes, it was. It was definitely worth 9 years of waiting. Like I said before, I know the movie isn't perfect and it is very campy at some points, but the fact that we have this movie in present day after 9 years and watching it with other FNAF fans just makes the movie that more special to me. I know it isn't perfect, but I just can't help but feel so... I'm just loving this movie. I honestly love this movie. I can't wait to buy this on Blu-ray, watch it with the boys, and have some good times with the movie. And it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. 100%. Really do like it. And so what am I going to rate this movie? I'm going to rate this movie an 8.5 Freddy Fazbear pizzas out of 10. I'm doing this new rating system, by the way, because especially when people watch my movie reviews, I do ramble on and I don't make myself clear all the times because I don't have a script. So I'm just using a little rating system at the end of my review. So it gives people like kind of a nutshell overview of what my actual opinion and what I would rate the movie as a whole. So 8.5. That's what I'm going to rate the movie. But just want to mention this real quick. So the reason why I think the movie is getting so much hate right now is because there are some non-FNAF fans watching this movie, especially the critics, that are, grown adult men who basically were doing a really crappy office job when the first game come out and never really followed the fan base or never followed the fan base at all, and are actually just watching the movie and they're just picking apart the movie because they're not actual fans. And there are people that are actually making legitimate criticisms that I do agree, but sometimes that they're just ripping into this movie for no apparent reason, especially with some, non-FNAF fans, and even FNAF fans that are not, don't really like this movie. Some FNAF fans are making the point that Scott Cawthon should have added a little bit more lore to the movie from the games, but that would have made it confusing, in my opinion, and also because you got to also remember that this is FNAF. It's a huge franchise. Even if somebody does not know about FNAF, they know about FNAF. Even if they don't know the lore, never play the games, they obviously know what it was because it's a widely demographic franchise that is basically everywhere on the internet and in stores and everything. So they obviously know about it. And the people who do see this movie who are not FNAF fans are probably just going there for the meme. Let's be real. That's pretty much what everybody was doing at this point because there was a lot of memes making about it when the trailer came out, and even when this thing was announced. All right, so that's why I think the movie's gained so much hate. And just want to make this perfectly clear. Do not go and hate on people who have a different opinion than you. If you like the movie, great for you. I'm in the same boat as you. And if you don't like the movie, good for you. If you can make valid criticisms about the movie and explain why you don't like the movie, I can perfectly accept your opinion. But for the people that are arguing like, oh, these people who are hating on the movie are just haters and they have never seen the fan base before, and some of them are actually in the fan base and they just don't like the movie because of some of the points that I made with like the horror, the writing, and not being what people wanted it to be. So that's why I think that this movie's gained so much hate. So don't hate on anybody who has a different opinion than you. But other than that, that's going to do it for me, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't care what you do, but I guess what time it is. So, bye, guys.